Hi, this is the third in my series of short videos on language learning for missionaries. And in this video, I'd like to talk about how we go about learning a language. In order to learn a language, in order to become fluent, you only need three things. Just three. You need time, you need the opportunity, and you need the motivation. If you've got all those three, you'll keep learning. If you're short of any one of them, life will be much more difficult. So let's talk about time. Sadly, many mission agencies do not allow significant time for people to learn a language. To be realistic, for an English speaker, an average English speaker, to learn another European language fluently takes a year to 15 months of full-time study. So if you're starting from zero and you want to learn to function in Spanish, you're looking at a year to 15 months full-time. If you're thinking about learning something much more difficult, something more distant from English, you could be thinking of 2 or more years. We spent over 2 years learning the Kuya language in Ivory Coast. Language learning takes time. And if you don't have the time available, be realistic in the goals you're setting yourself. If all you've got is a 6 weeks introductory course, at the end of that, you are not going to be a fluent French speaker. It's just not going to happen. So be realistic. One hint I'd give is if time is limited, concentrate on learning vocabulary. Learn words, lots of them. If you go into a shop and say, "Me, bread, want," you'll get a loaf of bread. It may not be the most perfectly formed sentence. It may not be the most polite, but you'll get what you need. Learning vocabulary will get you a long way in social settings, even if you can't form the grammar as well as you'd like. But that's just a hint in passing. So time, opportunity. Again, this relates to time. It's being in a situation where you can learn the language, being around speakers of the language. The best opportunity in most settings would be to be in a good language school, a language school which has a program that's designed for speakers of your language, which has experience of teaching adults. But if not, you can create your own opportunities by finding someone who can help you, finding someone who can support you learning the language. And even if you don't have time for full-time study, you can create opportunities in coffee breaks, in social settings, by getting people to teach you, by having the odd half hour where you only speak the new language in a work setting. You can create opportunities. As long as you're in a situation where the language is spoken, you can make those opportunities. So time, opportunity, motivation. Motivation is the big one. You can have all the time in the world, you can have all the opportunities, but if you don't have the drive to keep learning the language, you will stop. The sad fact is that learning a language is difficult. It is hard work. There is no easy way. There are some people who are incredibly gifted and who pick up languages just like that. Most of us aren't. And most of us will at times feel embarrassed, we'll feel humiliated, we'll feel that it's just not worth it. And what you see very much in most situations, including in missionary situations, is that when people can get by in the language, they stop. Their motivation drops. They're not even aware that their motivation has stopped, but they just stop putting in the effort. They've got enough, they can do the basic social stuff, and language learning plateaus or dries up. It takes motivation to keep it going. The thing is, if you get to the point where you can get by, you can buy a loaf of bread, you can greet people, you can ask how their kids are, but you will struggle to explain the gospel to people if that's the level your language is at. You certainly wouldn't be able to preach or speak in public with any degree of fluency or naturalness. So if our motivation is to share the gospel, we do have to keep motivated. And for that, we need to go back to the first video and the reasons why we learn a language. And above everything else, it's because that is the way that Jesus acted. He came to us, he spoke to us on our terms. He became a man. He didn't expect us to become gods to reach up to him. So as we learn a language, we're following in Jesus' footsteps. And that's a good motivation.